brothers to kidnap her, to take her to a remote area and kill her. It was generally believed by friends of Amber Woods, including Ralph himself, that she was pregnant with Ralph's child. During the investigation, detectives found a text message where Ralph was concerned that he could face criminal charges due to the fact that Amber was underage. Detectives had a variety of leads at the time, but unfortunately could not build a strong case. In April of 2019, the Manatee Homicide Investigative Unit began a re-examination of this case to include the use of previously unavailable technology. The MCSO Crime Analysis Unit, Alicia Main, utilized sophisticated cellular tracking software to follow the towers and the travel of Ralph, Taiwan, and Jermaine and Amber through that early morning of February 11, 2006. Research confirmed a phone used by Ralph on the night of the murder was in the vicinity of where Amber's body was found. On May 20th of this year, an arrest warrant was assigned for the arrest of Jermaine Brown for the charge of kidnapping as it related to the case. During a recorded interview on November 2nd of this year, Jermaine, the half-brother of Ralph and Taiwan, stated that he drove to a rural location with Amber in the vehicle off State Road 62, where they got out of the car and Taiwan shot Amber once in the back. Jermaine and Ralph then dragged her deceased body off of the roadway into the high grass before fleeing the scene. On December 15th of this year, Ralph Williams and Taiwan Williams were charged with second-degree murder. Ralph was already in jail in Polk County for unrelated charges, and Taiwan was incarcerated in Hardy County also on unrelated charges. Both are being held at those facilities without bond, awaiting extradition. Jermaine Brown, who has been in the Manatee County Jail since May of this year, pled to the charge of accessory to murder on 12/18 of this year. I want to give special thanks to FBI Special Agent Chuck Sloan, the Wauchula Police Department, Sergeant Chris LeConte, Hardy County Sheriff's Office, Hardy County Probation and Parole, the State's Attorney's Office, the Polk County Sheriff's Office for their assistance. But this really all started with two detectives that picked up this cold case knowing that they could do more, knowing that they could bring justice to Amber and her family. Those detectives are Detective Chuck Butler and also Detective Garrett Plunzinski from the Manatee County Homicide Unit. Alicia Main is also up here from our Crime Analysis Unit. I just want to say how proud I am of all of them for the work that they did on this case, because without them engaging, caring about solving this case, and doing everything that they could to bring these three individuals to justice, we would still be looking at a cold case. So at this time, I would ask that Detective Plunzinski come up just to explain some of the things that went into this investigation. Steve?
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Garrett Plunzinski. I'm with the Manatee County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit. 2 years ago, approximately, myself and my partner were given the task of taking a look at this cold case, and it's really been a marathon ever since. It's been a bunch of people coming together through different agencies, the FBI, Wauchula PD, so on and so forth, and there's way too many to name, and I apologize for not naming them all. But this group of people, these investigators coming together, is what really closed this case in the end. It was a deep passion from the very beginning to try and get a resolution to the case, and if it hadn't been for all of the people that we had working on the case, I don't know if we would have gotten to the end like we did. I certainly didn't solve this case. It was a group effort by every stretch and mean and way. And I really want to thank everybody involved in this case, from the original detectives way back when, back in 2006, to the ones that are with me today, because it's all of our hard work that really kind of led to where we were. Thank you.
Next, I would ask Detective Chuck Butler to please come up and say a few words. Chuck?
Hi, I'm Detective Butler. I'll just kind of repeat what Detective Plunzinski said. It was a group effort, and it was a marathon. We covered a lot of miles. We were given a lot of assistance by the FBI. We were able to accomplish some tasks that would have taken a lot longer if not for the availability of their assistance, especially locating witnesses out of state. And again, I think Ski nailed it when he said, you know, we were pretty passionate from the onset about the case, and we felt that the case was solvable. Thank you.
Next, FBI Senior Resident Agent Tom Bauer.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. My name is Tom Bauer, and I am the FBI Supervisor for the Manatee County region. I would like to thank the Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office for their dedication to justice in this investigation. In addition to the many names that have already been mentioned, this was truly a team effort. I would also like to mention Federal Prosecutors Frank Murray and Michael Gordon. The FBI takes great pride in the partnerships we build with local law enforcement and prosecutors. These partnerships are crucial to solving difficult cases and protecting our communities. We are confident that through the combined efforts of law enforcement and the public, all the subjects responsible for this heinous crime will be held accountable in a court of law, and the family of Amber Woods will have justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Real quick, we have some of Amber's family here with us today, and I just want to say to them that these detectives were never going to quit searching. We knew we had enough to build a case. We always believed that these three murderers were in cahoots together and trying to do everything that they could to conceal the fact that they had murdered Amber. And they went through the last several years acting like nothing ever happened. But these detectives, these investigators continue to fight for Amber, and I just, I hope that we can bring you some comfort. I want you to know that we never, ever thought for a minute that we could not solve this case. We knew we just had to keep fighting and build upon what was already done. Alicia Main, she doesn't want to speak, but I want to tell you how critical it was to have someone like Alicia in your crime analysis unit that can take data, old data, with the technology that we have today, and really, she's the one that started us back in the right direction by taking that technology and really pinpointing where these murder suspects were the night of the homicide. So I'm very proud of everyone here standing behind me and all those that helped out, because without them, we would still just be barking up the wrong tree. But because of them and their dedication to justice, we're able to bring closure to this case. So at this point, we'll take any questions that you may have.
The new technology, you explain how it worked.
Alicia.
So at the beginning of this case, I was handed 2 giant notebooks of paper, just lots of paper. And on that paper was a lot of numbers that were provided by a cell phone provider. When I got the notebooks, I knew that the answer was in there. We just hadn't had the availability to go through all of the data and analyze it. So what I did was I went through all of the data and entered it into a software program that helps visualize what the phones were doing on a map. And what it showed us was that the phones belonging to these suspects were in the vicinity of the crime.
It Sheriff, you talked about the passion the detectives had. Why did they have that passion?
Because they care about people, they care about justice, and they care about putting murderers in jail. And they knew that they had something in this cold case that we don't normally have in all cold cases. They had suspects. They just had to figure out how to get them into the crime scene. That's what Alicia did for them. Then after that took place, then they just continued to piece by piece, fight during this investigation with the help of the FBI and others. And we can't always be successful alone, but together, a team like this, there was no way that they were not going to be brought to justice. So that's why we're here today.
And a ping on a cell phone is enough to get somebody for murder.
It's more than a ping. It's like a diary. It's taking that information and then using it against what they have already told you. They lied about their whereabouts. And we were able to prove that they were lying about their whereabouts because the phones told us. There's a lot more than just a ping on the phone, Tim. Because we're not going to give you everything because we still have a lot of court proceedings to go through here. But believe me, a judge is not going to sign off on an arrest warrant for just a ping.
Sure.
Yeah.
So essentially, in the end, these three men kidnapped and murdered a young girl because they wanted to break up. The boyfriend wanted to break up and was worried that she was pregnant. What does that tell you about the kind of human beings that they are?
Cold, callous, just the worst in our society. He believed that she was pregnant. He knew that he was responsible instead of just doing the right thing. And he was more concerned about the fact that she was underage and that he would be going to prison because of the crime that he committed. So these are just cold-hearted individuals. That's all you can say. I mean, this young girl had her entire life in front of her, and they treated her like she was nothing. I mean, that says it all.
And I don't know if you guys have said, but did you ever find out if she was pregnant or not?
We're not going to get into that right now, but thank you. Appreciate it.
And then Sheriff, after more than a decade of trying to close this cold case and give Amber Wood's family the closure and the justice they wanted and needed, I mean, how does it feel today standing here in front of all of us announcing the arrest of these three men and their charges?
Well, I mean, it feels good for us. It feels good to be able to tell the family that, those responsible, hopefully will spend the rest of their lives in prison. But it doesn't make the pain any better. I mean, the pain is still real. It's there. They took the life of just an innocent young girl, and this is all we can do is offer this to the family that, hey, those responsible are no longer going to be walking around in our community enjoying life.
How frustrating is it as an investigator to think you know who did it and not be able to prove it?
It's always frustrating. We go through that a lot, and these detectives behind me will tell you, but that's why you have to keep working on finding that one piece of evidence that's going to break this case wide open. That's what they did. So we don't ever stop. We always come back to these cases when we know that we have a person or persons of interest, and it takes a lot of time, but as long as you continue to fight to find that evidence, more often than not, we find what we need.
And Sheriff, considering the circumstances of this case, is this something that would fit the bill potentially for capital punishment, or is that too early to say?
Too early to say. We're still working with the state attorney. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do on that side of it. I mean, we'll let them make that call. We're going to give them everything that we have. We're already sitting down with them now, so we'll see where it goes from here. Any more questions?
I do have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
You said Rolf Williams, the suspect, was dating or was together with the victim, Amber Woods. How did they meet? Do you guys know how they met? Because, I mean, they did have an age difference too, so was it at school or no idea?
I don't have any.
High school.
High school.
Thank you.
Well, Thank y'all so much for coming. We appreciate it.